Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, is no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Carnivore Evolution. I'm your host, Victoria Olson, together with our co-hosts, Mark Ennis and Lisa Moss. Today, our guest is Sharon Goldhammer, who's a 2-year carnivore who has put ulcerative, see, told you, ulcerative colitis and joint pain into remission, and she has some great stories to tell us. And welcome to the show, Sharon.
It's great to be here. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello,
Sharon.
hello. Hi,
Hi.
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 Yes, we'd love to hear from you and certainly give us a little background before you tell us about your carnivore journey. We'd like to know about you and your health journey.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis back in 2004, and that is sort of in the middle of a lifetime of obesity and issues with weight loss. Um, so once I was diagnosed in 2004, I was hospitalized for about 3 weeks with pretty much uncontrollable digestive issues, diarrhea, loss of blood. It was eventually controlled with medication, and I was sent on my way in 2004. The medication basically kept me relatively healthy for about 10 years. And then about 2013, 2014, I had a horrible flare that medication couldn't control, ended up back in the hospital having surgery, had to have my colon and rectum removed. It was supposed to be 3 surgeries over 9 months. Due to complications, it ended up being about 12 surgeries over 3 years and about 100 nights cumulatively in the hospital. As you can imagine, I lost a lot of weight during this time, although I was not healthy at all. I was basically skinny fat. And then as I started to heal from the surgeries and start living my life again, I went back into the standard American diet of bad eating habits, gained a bunch of weight, became sick again, sort of, not so much with the colitis, just general health issues, and then needed to find something else so that I can attempt to lose weight and get healthy. And that's when, through just a series of random events, I ended up at Carnivore, and it changed my life. It gave me my life back. I'm grateful I stumbled across it, and I'm happy to be here to share with you and your listeners.
Great.
Thank you for that
Um,
background. I wanted to ask you, so you have a colostomy bag now?
I don't now,
No?
thankfully. I did at two points during that surgical process. After the first surgery, when the colon and rectum is removed, I did have a colostomy bag. And then the second surgery after that was meant to create the J pouch, which, if you look under your kitchen sink and you see how that J tube, that catch tube goes, that's sort of how my internal plumbing system looks now. I don't have a colon anymore. So they take the backside of the small intestine and make it into the shape of a J. And then that has to heal for a couple months. So keep the
wow.
colostomy bag. The
Have you?
third surgery is
Oh,
meant to reconnect everything.
mhm.
And they did the third surgery. I was reconnected, but I ended up in a lot of pain. I had lots of abscesses along the way in the system. So they installed drains, gosh, I don't know, 6, 7 times. And what that was, it was a tube that went into the flesh of my backside, and it went into the abscess areas that had pus that was causing problems, and I had this little plastic bag that was kind of hanging out that was sort of velcroed to my leg for a while. And I had, multiple drains over time. This was, multiple surgeries to get that done. Finally, they were able to go in. They had to do a J pouch revision because the abscesses were so bad. So they disconnected everything. I had the colostomy bag again for a second time, and then had to heal again. And then a few months later, thankfully, we were able to go back in and reconnect everything. My GI surgeon is one. I was very, very lucky over at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. He's one of the top surgeons really in the world. He teaches in Singapore. He donates his time in Guatemala, and he was telling me that he's one of three surgeons on this hemisphere who would have been able to handle that sort of a medical issue. So I every day I'm thankful to be healthy and above ground after all that. But then I still wasn't healthy. Yes, everything was reconnected and I could go back to life. But my labs were horrible. I was still weak. I didn't feel good, and I thought that that was going to be my normal. But I was just happy to be out of the hospital, not have the colostomy bag, and just thought, okay, well, I'm better than I was before. I should be grateful for that.
Well, that's a lot of stress, Sharon, like for your body to go through, like all of that. Like that's an amazing, like, wow. Like I'm trying to picture everything that you went through, and I'm like, oh my God, like what I had was like nothing compared to like what you went through. And but that's so much like stress on your body. Like, wow, good for you for like, being so strong to handle that.
Oh, well,
Yeah, surviving it.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it was funny. One of the nurses would come in every day, and every day when you're hospitalized, at least here, you get a heparin shot to avoid blood clots. And they would ask, where do you want it? Meaning, do you want it in your abdomen? Do you want it in your arm? One day I finally said, how about on Maui? And I just, decided you have to have a sense of humor. I had a
Yeah.
doctor came in one day that, said something similar, like, I don't know how you're handling this, like, blah, 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 blah. And I made a joke that I later found out you should not make in a hospital, which was, well, what am I supposed to do? Jump out the window? Well, later on, psych showed up and wanted to have
Oh
a conversation
no.
about that.
Oh dear. Oh, that's
So,
terrible.
but I mean, you have to laugh because we
Yeah.
go through as part of the human condition. Horrible things happen. We have medical issues. We have things that happen in the family, in the world. Just things happen that we all have to deal with. And I struggle with this too. But if you can laugh instead of cry, that can really help.
Oh, that's a
So
great
just talk
attitude.
to me through the what was the information that you were getting? You said to yourself that you were unhealthy. So what were the doctors saying? How were they actually fixing this? What were they saying about your diet?
So at that time, I mean, doctors were really saying to me, you can eat anything you want, but if it bothers you, don't eat that for now, and then try again in a few months after you heal more and, see if you can add things back in. But it was really, I mean, and I remember when they sent the nutritionist in the hospital, and I didn't know anything about carnivore then, and she was talking about a balanced diet, fruits and vegetables, you know, grains, and a minimal amount of beef and fat, as sort of along the lines of the pyramid that we all know worked so well
Yes. Oh,
for the West.
really?
And they kind of went in one ear and out the other because, at that point, remember, I've had 30 years of, fighting with my weight and being on every diet imaginable. I was a lifetime, Weight Watcher member in the third grade. So it was just, okay, yeah, to lose weight, you have to go on a diet. And so I'm going to have to start eating rabbit food and, chicken breast again, which is which is what you think about when you think about being on a diet, which is why diets don't work, which is why, we spiral and,
Mm.
all these things. So I was just, not in a good place, food wise and health wise, mentally or physically, just based on my history up until that point. And I think, that's a very common place to be. Most people, as Americans and in the West, we don't learn proper nutrition
No,
anyway. I mean, we
no.
learn what the lobbyists wanted taught.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and
Exactly.
I've worked with an awful lot of women who had autoimmune issues like the likes of Crohn's and IBS, and a lot of women would have had major digestive issues, unbelievably painful digestive issues. And the information is all the same, always the same. You're not eating enough fiber. This is what I always get from people.
Oh my
Like
gosh, fiber.
we're not eating
It's
enough.
so good.
I had a guy, I interviewed a guy there about 6 weeks ago, and he struggled with Crohn's disease for over 30 years.
Wow.
Unbelievable pain. He was excreting blood as well. He was in severe pain. He went to every single specialist that you could possibly think of, spent a fortune, and they were trying to remove many things out of his body. But they were always saying to him, like, listen, once it's over, you just need to eat more vegetables.
Mhm.
More vegetables. That's
Yeah.
that's that's what you need to do. Honestly, it's
So,
criminal. It's
so
absolutely criminal.
Sharon, when you talk to people now, like when they say, talk about fiber and all the grains and the vegetables and stuff, like, so what do you because if they don't know your story, like, what do you say to someone who is, say, in the hospital and they oh, the doctor told me I'm suffering from this, but I got to eat more fiber. Like, what would you say to someone like that?
I mean, someone, in the hospital in that scenario, I mean, I would, you have to be a little bit more
Mm.
gentle with, and, I
Mm,
would probably say to them, that has, what they're telling you as far as, the fiber and eating vegetables and all that, that's what you've been told your whole life, and that's how you're here. Try doing something different, maybe
mm,
the opposite of that. Eat some steak, have, some ground beef. Even, people like sushi, have some sushi. Just try that protein, because the plants can can hurt you as well.
mm,
And so, that's what I would say, and I would give, my own, personal story, what happened to me, how I've felt. But then, with everybody else, the people who were, sort of in that same space that, millions of people are in, that, that I was in, I would just say it's obviously not working for you. You need to
Exactly.
get
Yeah.
rid
mm.
get rid of the salads, eat your cheeseburgers without the bread, eat your steak, have your eggs, don't worry about cholesterol, do the opposite of what you were told. Just do it for 30 days. It's not, nothing bad's going to happen in 30 days, and see how you feel.
How
Because,
was
And
your
how did you?
family? How was your
Yeah,
family? Like, how did your family react to, like,
that's
all
what I
of
was going to
so
this?
ask. Yeah.
So I'm single. I'm not married. I don't have kids, but I'm very close with my parents, and they've been very supportive about this. In fact,
Awesome.
Mm,
my dad, he he would be a lot more carnivore, if, he were the one more, running the kitchen and everything. And he now, I'm very proud of them both. They read their labels, and,
Wow.
they know, and they're looking at, and the ingredient list is 3 paragraphs long, and there's the same product with 5 ingredients in it. That's better. They eat a lot more protein now. My mom, who likes red meat, it just doesn't really agree with her. She's even eating, intentionally eating more protein now.
mm,
And they've both been working out. They have a personal trainer for the last couple years,
Wow.
and
That's great.
yeah, they're doing well. My brother has 2 young kids, so, they're grandparents, and they want to take care of themselves for that. And they feel better as well. And so, my what started off as being, oh, that's just Sharon's craziness again. Well, they've adopted some of Sharon's craziness again, and
Mm.
they feel better for it too. And so I'm really happy about that. And when I started this in January of 2023, my best friend did it with me together. So we're both doing it. We both kind of fall off and come back on at different times. But it's great to have somebody to exchange, recipes with, and as a support. And have you tried this? Did you see this reel? So it's really great. And then the community online, Victoria, the over 40 carnivore group, as I was telling you before, has really helped me. I mean, in the beginning, I
That's so
remember
nice.
after about a week, I started getting these horrible headaches, and I posted in the group. I said, "All right, why am I getting these headaches? What's going on?" And people said, "Oh, when you're on carnivore, you're missing some of the minerals, so you need to take electrolytes."
Mm.
I've been putting a scoop of electrolytes in my eggs every morning since then, and no headaches.
Mm.
So the everything has really been going great. It's wonderful people that I've met, and it's nice to talk to like-minded people who have a similar, maybe very different backgrounds, but have landed on a similar solution for them.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, it's a great community. It really is. I had a question for you. Do you still have your gallbladder?
I do still have my gallbladder.
Okay, I was wondering if after your J pouch surgery, did you encounter any digestive issues on carnivore?
Not really any different than what I've heard other people have, as far as maybe they don't need to go to the bathroom as often, but they might have that diarrhea in the beginning. Well, by not having a colon, that's sort of my baseline anyway, where I'm popping Imodium all day. So that didn't really affect me because that, stayed the same for me.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Can I just ask a question? Like, like, what made the transition when you went from your standard American diet? Like, how did you transition? Did you just transition straight into keto, straight into carnivore? Did a light bulb, was it just a light bulb moment? Like, what made that transition? Why did you feel like you needed to go down this route? Did you see anybody on the internet?
So what happened was every year in January I would start a new diet and say, okay, this I'm going to lose weight this year. This is going to be the way that I do it. Whether it's Weight Watchers, keto, whatever. I did Manjaro. That put me in the hospital.
Really? Oh, you
Yeah,
got to
that
tell
was
us about that.
yeah, that
Oh, that's
was
a
that was a
different
whole
story.
that was a whole
Mm.
other issue. So
Mm.
I tried all the things. So in October of 22, when I was thinking about, all right, what am I going to do next year? I was thinking, okay, well, I don't want to eat salads. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on a restricted diet. So
Mm.
what else is out there? And I started looking into the, elimination diets and things like that. And I landed on carnivore. And I was like, well, wait a minute. These are all the things I like to eat anyway. And if
Mm.
that is what's healthy for me, then this will be a good program. So the second Monday of January is when I historically start diet. So second Monday of January 2023, I woke up in the morning and made a half a dozen eggs and cooked them in butter. And that was my start to carnivore. And, I'm at Costco every week, buying steaks and ground beef, and that's the majority of my diet. But yeah, I just sort of decided that, all right, I'm going to try this. And the weekend before, I stocked up the kitchen and threw out all the sugar and everything, and just started. That's all she
And
wrote.
how quick did you see the results? Like, was it in a week, a month, a few
Within a
months?
couple days, I had started losing weight for sure. And then within about a week, the joint pain started subsiding.
Yeah.
And that was really amazing because I live in a two-story house. So the up and down the stairs, I mean, one morning I just noticed my knees don't hurt.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that was huge.
Yeah, that's a
Wow.
big thing about carnivore, like especially with the inflammation. Like, I know we were talking about your gut issues earlier on, but like I don't think people realize that how powerful inflammation is. That's what's causing all the damage, like the pains, the crampness, the digestive issues, the brain fog, the energy dips, the hunger cravings. It's all down to how much inflammation is in the body.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And carnivore heals that, which is
Straight
just
away. Yeah.
amazing. And
That's
then,
Yeah.
wonderful.
yeah.
So Sharon, so when people say stuff like, "Oh, it's not sustainable, you'll never be able to do it the rest of your life," like, is this something that you think, like, not? I know that it's probably for you, like, it's something that you basically gotta be on for the rest of your life because you feel so
Mm.
good. But like, if do you think for other, like, is it sustainable? Like, do you think that, like people can thrive on it for the rest of their life, Like, is it?
I think they absolutely could. I mean, it depends how strict you want to be, as well. I know some people, and I definitely went through a phase where I was very, very strict. I mean, I stayed with my beef, butter, eggs, and bacon. Well, I also did beef bacon. And I held to that, very firmly for a long time. And then also when I start having GI issues again, or if, my knees get sensitive or whatnot, I'll tighten up again on the
Yeah.
food intake because I know that's exactly where it is. So yeah, I mean, at home, I probably hold about 90% carnivore. Out in the world, probably 85%. But I know that if, my gut's not feeling good or something, I know the only thing I have to do is just, tighten up and, really like
Mm.
have a burger, have a steak, and that.
Yeah, I see that as well, especially who people with autoimmune issues. I feel they need to be really strict, like
Hmm.
really, really strict with current. They can't moderate at all. And because it just the minute that you start adding in the sugars again or the plants or any kind of toxins whatsoever, it just sets them off. They get to flare up straight away. So I'm a big fan of the carnivore diet, but I feel like you don't need to be extremely strict. Like there are people that if you drink coffee on the carnivore diet, you're going against the tradition. And if you add in dairy, you're going against the tradition. There are people out there that can have these foods no problems. And there are people out there that just cannot tolerate these issues. Like, you know what I mean? There's people out there that'll probably eat dairy, they struggle to lose weight. There's probably people out there that can't take any plants into their diet at all, including coffee, and they need to eliminate it. So you know what I mean? So I don't think when people say that the carnivore approach fits everyone, I think there are some people out there that can be a little bit flexible in what they do.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm the same. Yeah. So, we. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
No,
Oh,
no worries. Do you want to
uh,
say something, Victoria?
yeah, I
It'll,
wanted to ask, could you tell us about your Manjaro experience? How
Oh,
did that go?
sure. So that was 21, 22. I started a Manjaro, and I was very excited about it because at that time, I was in the, still in the mindset of, okay, if I could just take a magic pill to make me not hungry, that's all I need. That would, solve all my problems. Well, here came this magic shot that would do that exact thing and make me not hungry. So I couldn't wait. And in the beginning, yes, I'd have on the shot day and a couple days after, I'd be, a little bit nauseous, but that didn't bother me that much because I figured, okay, it's working, so that's fine. And I lost about 30 pounds on it. But
Ah,
then one day, actually, it was on my birthday when it happened. In December, I just started vomiting and I could not stop. Nothing could make it stop at all. Eventually, I had to be hospitalized. And, at that time, it was very busy in the hospital. They didn't have a room. They had me like in a hallway on an IV. And I was in the hospital, I think like 4 or 5 days, never got into a room. And it was just until I could stop vomiting. They had
Oh
me
my gosh.
high doses of Zofran. They had me on fluids, and it was just, get stabilized. And it took all that time to flush through my system. And I think it's because of, what part of what those medications do is, it slows down your metabolism. Well, if
Mm,
your system thinks that there's poison in it and it's going to keep vomiting, now your
mm,
system is slowed down. So now you're going to have those symptoms even longer because it's going to take even longer to flush out of your body.
mm.
So that was my experience with Manjaro, that I almost feel like, was a real lesson learned, that there are no quick fixes, there are no magic potions. You have to actually do the work to get the results that you're looking for.
And when
Mm.
you went through
Well,
all this, like the sickness and all this, who was held accountable? Did anybody get the blame for this, or did they just say to you, "Okay, listen, this is your fault"? Like, what
Um,
what what was the what was the feedback?
there was no fault really. It was, oh, this can happen on these medications, and you're not a good, um and you shouldn't be on these medications. You're too sensitive, basically.
mm,
Wow, honestly, it's just because this is what really, really, really pisses me off is that when I hear these stories that you go on these injections, nobody's held accountable. So when you end up in hospital or you're really, really struggling or you get sick, or we had a woman on our podcast, Krista, there about 3 months ago. She nearly died. She got blind. Horrific story, absolutely horrific story. And then when she went back a week later, after a week in hospital, they were like, okay, maybe that your dose was too high. Maybe we'll put you on a smaller dose.
They
And it
want
was
to
like
keep her on it after
they
that?
wanted to
yeah.
keep her on it. Yeah,
Oh my
Yes.
God.
yeah. That's a true story. That's no word of a lie.
Mhm.
I will always remember that podcast for as long as I live. It's just horrendous. And I don't understand why more people in the world are not listening to your story, Sharon, because you're not the only one. There's
Oh
many,
no.
many
Mm.
people out there at the moment that are taking these
Mhm.
injections. They're going through all these side effects and they think it's just normal. And then when they do go through these
Mm.
side effects, they go back to the doctor. The doctor is saying, okay, well, maybe you need this medication. So it's all adding up. It's all adding up. You're putting all this crap into your
Mm.
system. And when you do become really, really sick, not one of these people are held accountable. Not one.
I wonder if
They're-
there's any doctors out there that, just like advise not to take it. Like when you went in, Sharon, to your doctor, like, with your health issues that you have, like, did he, say, well, maybe you shouldn't do this, or, or was he just upfront and said, yeah, let's write you a prescription? Was it that easy?
It was,
Mm,
yeah, it was really easy as far as getting the prescription for it. The doctor, had been really on. This was my rheumatologist, and he was very like very wanted me to get my weight under control. And now these drugs were available, and it was what I wanted. So he was very gung ho about it, and really helped push it through the insurance actually. And all that. It was just like it was a very normal thing that, okay, you're overweight at this level, and so the next thing that we do, since nothing else has worked, is you're going to go on this shot, which you want to go on anyway. So let's do that.
But did he did
And
he
it had been funny because
did he
I had
mention?
asked for like the magic potion,
Yeah.
months
yeah.
previously. So now this was here. Um, yeah.
Did he go over the side effects? Did he mention these are the side effects and what could happen and the dangers possibly, and like did he go over all that stuff with you?
He talked about that I will probably feel nauseous around the day that I took the shot, and then a couple after. He did say that some people can't handle it because of the side effects, and that's why we were starting on a low dose.
Wow, a low dose did that to you.
Mm.
Yeah,
Holy cow. Well,
yeah,
that's
no,
I
not
was
good.
actually, yeah, so I actually want to pick this up because this is going to be a controversial subject. We all love Ken Berry. Every one of us love Ken Berry. But Ken Berry has stated in the past that microdosing might be an idea of doing these injections. Now, I'm a huge fan of Ken Berry, but when I heard him talk about this really, really annoyed me. I was like, okay, nobody should be on these injections, not even microdosing. I don't get this where if you're extremely obese, you can't control what goes into your mouth. At the end of the day, what are you putting into your body? So why are you not questioning this? So when you go to any doctor in the world, why did they not ask you the first thing, what does your diet look like? They never mention anything. It's
Never.
just like, okay, well, you're obese. You need to lose weight. You need to go on a diet. Okay, that's great advice, doc. But what do I need to do? Explain to me what I need to do. Are you going to talk to me about blood sugar? Are you going to talk to me about insulin? Are you going to talk to me about my leptin resistance? Like, what diet do you want me to go on? You know what I mean? And like, this is the information that we're being given. Because anybody who's obese, really, really obese, I feel sorry for them because they have nowhere else to go. Like the dietitians in the world haven't got a clue. The nutritionists in the world haven't got a clue. There's PTs, coaches, fitness trainers, same thing. They're all paid into the system. They haven't got a clue. They're all trained to do the exact same thing. Just put you on a calorie deficit, just lose weight, follow the food pyramid, eat in moderation, all of this. And every single one of us have done this now in the last, 100 years? And I can guarantee you, in the last 100 years, these people would have counted calories and they still would have had problems. So why when you go and see your doctor and he does your blood work, why doesn't he not talk to you about blood sugar? Why doesn't he not talk to you about insulin? Why is it always down to your cholesterol numbers are too high?
We know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's honestly, and we all know what the reason is. It's all about money. Like you look at you look at what the how much Ozempic now is worth at the moment, and there's a lawsuit at the moment. I think someone's trying to sue them for like $2 billion or something like that. But it's crazy. And now we have one of the famous sports stars. What was her name? Serena
China.
Williams. She's worth over 350 million. She's got so much money, so much money. And this woman was a sports star, and she told the world that I struggled with my weight for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. She even said it a few times that she used to train 6 or 7 hours a day, and she still couldn't get the results that she wanted. So when you hear someone like that who's a sports star and they're struggling, well then obviously what we're doing in the world at the moment with the low calorie diets and the low fat diet and the high fiber diets, it's not working. It's honestly, it's not working.
No,
Yep.
no,
It's
we're
scary.
sending that.
It's scary.
Yeah, the
Sorry,
wrong
Lisa.
message. No, I was just gonna say, like these superstars are sending out the wrong message to a
Yeah,
lot of young women, right? Like, oh, if you're not, when is it ever gonna be? When am I gonna be good enough? Like it's always
exactly.
be
Yeah,
skinny, be skinny. You got to be skinny instead of being
yeah.
strong. Like we figure it out eventually, but they're sending
Mhm.
out the wrong message to these young people, to everybody, that oh, like
Yeah.
you can have this, like Sharon, you said, it's a quick fix. Like you can have this right away, and why would you want to work like towards your goal and spend time in the gym and eat right? Like, oh, when I why do that when I can just take an injection or whatever? It's crazy.
Yeah,
And you
it's too
mentioned a good
easy.
point. You mentioned a good point, like Lisa, it's a quick fix. Like about 95% of people, when they lose the weight, what happens after that?
Oh, to
Most of the
gain it
time
back.
they gain it back straight away. Straight away.
Because they
And then
don't learn about nutrition.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of these people will say it's down to discipline. You didn't try hard enough. Like you didn't count your calories. This is the reason why you failed. They don't talk about the food you're eating. It's just based on, okay, your body's based on maths. In order for you to get in shape, you need to count your calories.
Yeah, they're not
That's all
learning
you need to do.
anything. Yeah, they're not
Mm-mm.
learning about what they're actually doing. They're just learning how to cut and restrict, and they're not learning about food and the effect that it has when it enters your mouth.
Mhm.
Right? It's
And
they're not learning anything.
we talked about, is carnivore sustainable? Well, all of these very restrictive, like 1,200 calorie a day diets and all those things that we've all done to try to lose weight, those things are really not sustainable. You
Mm.
can't have two powdered shakes and a salad a day and expect to live a healthy life for, more
No.
than a couple
That
weeks.
that's a good point, Sharon. Like when you think about it, if we're going by calories, let's say we're having two ribeye steaks, and that's going to total to say 1,200 calories. Let's say, for example, and then you eat a standard American diet, and you're just eating like 6 meals a day. You're having chicken, you're having broccoli, maybe a protein bar, a few protein shakes. Your hunger's never going to be switched off, never.
Right.
Whereas if you eat two steaks, your hunger will be, you won't be hungry for at least 10 hours, at least. So you're not gonna be thinking about food. You're gonna be able to switch off that hunger straight away. So this is why that when we look at the carnivore diet, most people can sustain like 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day max, but they don't have that hunger signals anymore. They don't have that angry feeling around food, and they're not thinking about food anymore. They're just eating a meal and they're like, you know what? No, I'm good. That'll keep me going there for about 10 hours, and then I'll eat again when I'm hungry.
Well,
The
I
other
always
thing,
go ahead, Sharon.
oh, go ahead, Lisa.
No, you go,
Okay,
you
I
go.
was just gonna say the other thing for that I was thinking about this morning was, when I was eating more on the, the standard American diet, I'm sure I was eating far more calories than I eat today. I
Mm,
would, go through the drive-through and get a combo meal on the way to dinner. And you're always
Mhm.
hungry because you're
yeah.
eating all of this poison and fake food and sugar, and all this stuff. So to Mark's point, you never feel that satiety because you're eating all those chemicals anyway. When
Yeah.
if we would just eat the healthy carnivore diet and even be a little bit flexible on the margins, you're eating in actuality probably far fewer calories anyway than you were
Yeah.
eating when you were eating garbage.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, when you all three of us can easily put away a lot of food if we're eating crap, like the likes of crisps and sweets and chocolate and all that. We can easily put away maybe 3 or 4 or even 5,000 calories easily. I know I've done it in the past. I could eat a lot of food on the standard like European or American diet. I used to do these. I don't know if you guys know these things over where you guys live, but I used to do these high calorie challenges that you see on YouTube. Do you ever see those challenges
Yes.
where
No.
they're eating like 10,000, 20,000 calories in one
Oh
day?
my gosh.
I used to do these once a month. I used to pour I
Why?
like from just to test myself to see how much food I could eat. Just
Really?
stupid. Yeah. Like my first meal, I did this years ago. I was eating a whole box of Krispy Kremes for my breakfast. Literally a whole box, like 20 donuts, the whole thing. I would have had them gone. I would have had them gone in like 40 minutes. That was easily about 3,500, 4,000 calories gone. Easily. And then my next meal
No.
then would have been like a big bowl of cereal. Again, more crap. I was just, and then by the end of the day, guys, honestly, my mental health was unbelievably bad. I was destroying myself, and I was just doing this just to prove a point, and I did this on a regular basis. But and I still see people today, 16 years of age, start still doing this, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. And when you think about the amount of food that you're putting away, I would struggle to put away 10,000 calories of just eating steak. I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I struggle to put away around 3 or 4 pounds of steak on some days. It's a lot of beef, but I can do it. But it takes a little bit. I know that once I'm finished, then I probably won't eat for another. I could probably go the next day and do a full 24-hour fast, and it wouldn't phase me at all.
Yeah.
No.
And one thing about the calories and counting calories and stuff like that, because for people who are doing that, like, are you going to want to do that the rest of your life? Like sit down at the table and count your calories and jot down
Miserable.
it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to want to be like 80 years old sitting down figuring out your calories. I mean,
Yeah.
this way of eating, like you can eat, you know what you can eat, you know how much
Mm,
you can eat. You don't need to keep really track of anything, right? It's just you eat and you feel good.
mm, mm.
Yep.
Yeah, see, I get it. I get where people are coming from when they mention like you, okay, if you want to get in shape, you need to track your calories.
Yeah.
And we need to,
Yeah.
we need to do the same when we're trying to lose weight, even with carnivore, because I know a lot of people are convinced in the carnivore space that you can eat whatever you want on carnivore and you will still lose weight. Now,
Mm.
I'm sorry, but I work with an awful lot of women, and I can tell you now that's false.
Right.
Absolute false. It's not a matter of just going on a high fat diet, a high protein diet, and you're gonna lose weight. No, you still have to track. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you still
it
have to track.
depends on, yeah, no, it depends on your goals, right? It depends on what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Like if you're just want to sustain and feel good and you don't want to be
Yeah.
tracking and you don't have any, yeah, like no, you're right. Like for weight loss and if you're trying to, get to a certain goal, like no, absolutely. You gotta, you can't
Mm.
just, because that's what happened to me when I first started carnivore. I was like, I can eat all the bacon I want. I can eat all, and that's that mindset you have, but obviously you can't. But no,
Yeah.
you're right, Mark.
Yeah.
But you
It,
know
like,
what?
With me,
You
I've been
so
tracking for 10 years, but I eat the same five things in a day, the eggs, butter, beef, and it's not a big deal for me to do that on carnivore. If I were not on carnivore, it would drive me nuts, but
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
pretty easy. And I'm just, my reason for it is just to make sure I get enough fat, get my
Hmm.
fat and adequate
Yeah.
protein, fat and protein.
Hmm.
yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny though, because when you first start carnivore, especially if you're doing it if your main goal is weight loss when you first start, I would say, yeah, have that free for all with all the beef and the burgers and all that, because at first it's gonna, for sure, you're gonna lose weight because it's absolutely gonna be fewer calories than you're eating with all the other garbage. And then when you have the confidence in yourself and in carnivore, you can say, okay, I can control this. So
Mm.
I can dial it up and down. I don't necessarily need to eat 3 steaks today, but if I want to lose weight, I'm going to maybe eat, 2 steaks and a piece of chicken today
Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
chicken's going to be fewer calories while
Yeah.
still sticking to carnivore. And that's, kind of where I am now is, as far as the weight loss and the fitness goes. I am tracking the calories because I have a very specific, weight loss goal with
Mm.
a time element to it. But once that's done, I know exactly what I'm going to do when I maintain, and it's not going to be,
Hmm.
counting calories all day. It's going to be basically going back to eating kind of how I was in the beginning of when I started carnivore and just, maintaining that baseline.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you made a very, very good point, Sharon, because I think this is very, very important that if you're coming from a diet culture and you're counting calories and you're going into another lifestyle like the carnivore diet, I think it's very, very important you don't put people into that calorie deficit mindset at the very, very beginning, because automatically they're thinking about, okay, I'm on another diet here. Whereas if you just say to people, okay, forget about the diet, forget about counting stuff, just eat until you're full. Because what you're doing is you're tricking the brain and you're getting rid of that diet mentality straight away.
Hmm.
You're telling your body, okay, everything's okay. You don't need to panic around food anymore. You know what I mean? You're not getting that angry feeling around that, because we've all been there. When we do the low calorie diets, we don't like it because we're never hungry. We're never satisfied. We're always thinking about that next meal. So I think it's very, very important that when people start that transition and they move into the carnivore diet, don't look at it as a diet. Look at it as you're healing the body first. You're optimizing your hormones the way they should be optimized. And then once everything is in place, then you can say, okay, now it's time to start cutting or whatever you want to achieve. I think that's
Hmm.
extremely important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Sharon, you had mentioned you were taking Imodium daily. Was that, is that still something you do? Do you take medication still?
So I still do take Imodium. I probably take about a half a dozen Imodium daily, and that's been the same on or off carnivore, and that's just as a result of the J pouch and not
Yeah, it's the J
having any
pouch.
colon.
Hmm.
So, and I'm fine with that. It's a drug that, doesn't really have any side effects. My my GI surgeon was telling me all of his patients are on it. It's not a big deal. And that is a tool, it's a tool that I use to be able to lead a normal life. Would I prefer to not be on it at all? Sure. But I take that, and then I am still on Tremfya for joint pain, but it's far less of an issue than it used to be on Carnivore for sure. And I can moderate that based on what I eat. So, that feeling of control is a really big thing, I think, for a lot of people who have struggled with their weight and obesity just on a lifetime thing. Because when you're in that headspace, at least in my experience, you feel completely out of control. The food controls you. Diets, they're not fun, they're restrictive, you're hungry, you're eating rabbit food, so you don't like being on diets. You don't want to not be on a diet because then you're going to gain weight because that's what you've always done. So you're just kind of in this tense, angry, sad space where you don't have any hope. And I mean, Carnivore, it gave me hope. It gave me my life back. It gave me control over food. And for the first time, I'm 42 years old. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm finally in control. And so that's why I feel a little bit comfortable that, sometimes I will do a carnivore cheat, and it's fine because I'll just go get right back into it. Every
Yeah.
now and then, I'll have a craving for fish and chips, and yeah, I'll go have it. And then my next meal is going to be exactly carnivore, and I'm just going to stay on track. And it's fine, but you have to get to a point where your mind and your body are healed enough to be able to make those decisions, because you're not used to being able to make those decisions.
Yeah. And two questions for you. How much weight have you lost, and like what else are you doing? Like, are you training at the moment? Are you in the gym? Are you training at home? Like, what are you doing training wise?
So since I started carnivore, I'm down about 45. At
Very
my
good.
absolute heaviest, I was 250 pounds.
Okay.
I'm about 155 now, so happy about that. Have about maybe 10, 15 more to go. But yeah, Mike, you asked about training. I am in the gym pretty much 7 days a week. I do 2 days of weights, 1 day of cardio, 2 days of weights, 1 day of cardio. And then I'll take a rest maybe once every couple weeks or so. And I'm just like an obsessive person. You really should rest, have at least, 1 or 2 rest days a week. But for me, at least right now, my mental health, I feel really good on days that I go to the gym. I go early in the morning, I have a hard workout, and I feel like I have already accomplished something by 8 o'clock in the morning every day. And so by not taking that rest day all the time, if I'm a little bit behind in my training, that's okay, because for me right now, that's what I need, and I just love it. I mean, it's really great. It's, to go from being 250 pounds to now you're seeing, definition in your arms is amazing. And again, all that goes back to carnivore.
And I'm glad you said weight training, because this is something that we need to be focusing on. We need to see more women in the weight area, 100%. Because all I see is women on cardio machines. They're always running, especially as they get older. They're convinced that they don't need to build muscle. But we spoke about this the other day, Victoria, about sarcopenia and people having hip
Yeah.
injuries and when they get older. And I don't think people realize how important it is to build muscle. And we only spoke about this the other day. But who were we speaking the other day with? Remember the guy with the pole? What's his name? Remember you
Oh,
want the balance
Patrick.
stick?
Patrick,
Patrick, yeah, we
the
were speaking about
trainer.
this, and we were all saying the same thing, that a lot of people should be focusing on body weight training as well, because people
Hmm.
are people go into the gym, they lift all this weight, but when you ask a female, okay, just do one press up, they can't do it, but they can easily lift a weight from A to B, or they can lift a weight above their head, no problem. But
You're
if you ask a lady to do a pull up, they can't do it. So
you're
I think it's important.
absolutely
I think
Right.
it's important to get that balance, that
For,
a little bit of weight training, focus more on body weight training, like mobility, flexibility, because I think you mentioned this the other day as well, Victoria. It's about longevity. It's not about like just looking a certain way. It's about like, can you do this for the next 30, 40 years? And you can if you do
Yeah.
it if you do it the right if you do
Quality
it
of
the right
life and
pace.
longevity. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Sharon, as a carnivore, are there any foods that you avoid, or just like some people react to chicken or pork or dairy? What does your carnivore diet look like in general?
so I don't eat very much chicken, but that is more ideological for me. I feel like chicken is a diet food. And
Mm.
so because I don't want to feel like I'm on a diet, I avoid chicken. Now I'll eat it periodically, but I don't like to. And then, I don't eat pork really. I'm Jewish. I don't keep, extreme kosher, but I don't really eat pork, and unless it's in a dumpling and nobody tells me what it is, and then it's a surprise. But otherwise, I for breakfast these days I have a cup of egg whites, two eggs, and I cook that in a pan, and I use a beef tallow spray to cook it in. I have black coffee in the morning and put a tablespoon of butter in there, along with egg white protein and creatine. Mix that all in. So that is my breakfast. In the middle of the day as a snack, Costco has these great beef biltongs. I don't know if you are familiar with what that is. It's a South
Yes.
Korean preparation, and it's kind of like beef jerky, but it's not as tough. And it's three ingredients. It's beef, salt, and some kind of vinegar or something. It needs more salt.
Mm.
And anyway, 2 ounces is 180 calories and 36 grams of protein. So I'll have that as a snack in the middle of the day. And then for dinner, it'll either be a steak or a pound of ground beef, or I'll, go to sushi or something. So that's my like basic day. Every, now and then I'll go to a restaurant, I might eat something off carnivore, but for the most part, I mean, that's my routine. I love having a routine. I love that it's, a small amount of choices. I don't, have decision fatigue. And for me, it's really great. For me, it's just a matter of remembering to take meat out of the freezer in the morning.
Mm.
So what
So
are
no dairy
your
for you? Sorry.
Oh, I eat some dairy. I'm a little bit of a I call it a lactard these days, where I can't eat too much dairy. But I'll put some cheese in my eggs periodically. I like cheese, so that's why I have it. Oh, I'll tell you about cheese and me is, cheese is very addicting. It does have that, opioid enzyme in it. And for me, it, is just one of those foods that I'm going to eat the whole package if I have it in the house. So what I have done to counteract my own worst impulses is I have purchased a plastic lockbox that goes in the refrigerator, and it has a code on it. And the cheese goes in the lockbox, and the code that I have set is 250 because that was my heaviest weight. And that way I have to remind myself by punching it into the lockbox when I get cheese that, okay, I can have the one slice, but if I eat the whole box, I'm going to get back to that
Mm.
250.
what a
And
good
Very
that's
good.
how
idea.
Yes. What a
Very good.
story.
Very good.
Sharon, what's your weakness? What is your one, like for me it's like cupcakes and sweets. So what is it for you? Like what is it that you know, that would throw you way off?
it's definitely sweets. I don't keep sweets in the house. I don't even have like sugar in I don't have granulated sugar. I don't have like allulose. I keep nothing sweet in the house. If I'm craving something sweet, it depends. Okay, if I'm with other people and I'm craving something sweet, that's okay. I can, have a bite and whatever. If I'm alone and I'm craving something sweet, then there's something going on, and I have to think about it, and what's going on in my world. If I'm craving salty, that's okay. I'll just go have it and be fine and then get back on track. But yeah, sweets I can't, keep the dark chocolate in the house or anything like that. It's just can't have it.
I hear you. Yeah,
How
no,
about
Yeah.
I'm
you,
like that
Mark?
too.
It's tough to keep the house clean from that stuff, but we want to be respectful of your time and know, is there any advice you have for people who might be interested in starting carnivore and have digestive issues?
So yeah, for sure. And thank you for asking me that. My advice would be twofold. The first is to say that you absolutely can feel better and your day to day can be an improvement upon what it is now. And carnivore is a huge stepping stone in getting there. And the thing about it is, ignore anything you've been told about it in the past. Ignore the food pyramid, ignore what, doctors, nutritionists, anybody has said, and just try it. Try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, try it for 30 days. And in the beginning, be as strict as you can while being gentle with yourself. It's okay to fall off and make a mistake and, have a piece of chocolate or whatever. It's fine. But just remember to get back on track because the rest of your life is ahead of you.
Great advice. Wonderful. Wonderful. Anyone have any more questions for Sharon?
No, I think that's all me done. Thanks very much for
Good.
coming on, Sharon. I
Thank you,
really enjoyed
Sharon,
Sharon.
listening to your story.
it's
Thank you
been
so much for
wonderful.
having me.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciated this. This was my first podcast, so thank you all for making it
First of many
Congratulations.
now.
so nice.
Thank
I
you.
hope so. So thank you all. This has been terrific.
I'll
It's
get your
wonderful.
details, Sharon. I'll get you on another podcast during the week if you're free or next week.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I'll get your details off Victoria,
Great
and
story.
I'll
Thank
try
you,
and get
dear.
you on
Thank
one
you
or two
so
other
Thank you,
much,
podcasts.
Sharon.
Lisa and Sharon.
All right.
And I'll be sure to get some info from you, Sharon, to put along with the broadcast post. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, good night.
Perfect.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Lisa. Wonderful to meet you.
Bye, Sharon. Bye, Victoria. Bye, Mark.
Bye.
Bye, Victoria.